Sade, Greater Vancouver, BC, Divitcha. So invest karo. Is that
Invest karo, yeah.
Invest karo. Being a realtor isn't the ultimate end goal for me.
Is that something you're looking to see yourself as an influencer?
Yeah, I guess so. These days, if you say prices are going up, it's like you're
Yeah.
spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. 40% less homes built than what we normally should have been building.
They're desperate to come to Canada and make their life better here.
Especially getting approved for a mortgage as well will be extremely difficult. So
You used to buy like big houses, then townhouses, and now I think the next bull run for real estate would be maybe apartments.
yeah, I mean, they treat their new friends better than their old ones.
And he's one of the Gora Punjabi realtors in the town.
Number 8 Gora Realtor.
Hello everybody, how are you today? Welcome to the first episode of Chats with Mr. Seth, powered by SETH Advisories. So ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. So I know a lot of people were waiting for that from a while, either on Chats with Mr. Seth or Seth's Advisory, and we have finally did it. And our first guest on the show is none other than one of the top-notch realtors from Abbotsford, Mr. Kelly. How are you, Kelly?
Doing excellent, my friend. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. I know you have a busy schedule too, but taking your time for us is really appreciable.
Anytime, bro.
So we'll do a lot of that in the future as well with you. Not just real estate, but also crypto investments, stock market, and everything.
100%.
I hope, he's good expert in all of that, and he's one of the Gora Punjabi realtors in the town.
Number 8 Gora Realtor.
Yeah, yeah. So why not we start with this, with your journey? Like, what were you doing before real estate?
Yeah, I was a plumber, so I did that for almost 9 years. And I just felt like, you were an accountant, right? And I just felt like, not that being an accountant doesn't have a high ceiling or anything like that. I think everything, like the sky's the limit, just depends how far you want to push it in that field. I didn't want to push it in that field to that extent, right? And I felt like my potential was capped. It wasn't aligned with the person I wanted to be. And I had watched a bunch of content like Meet Kevin and Graham Stephan. I listened to the Bigger Pockets podcast and all these guys. And then I realized I was like, dude, everybody was a realtor before they became like an influencer. It just seemed like, right? Sure, yeah. And I was like, the path that I wanted to go is I wanted to eventually be like a thought leader, talk about investing, talk about self-improvement, self-development, all those things. And it seemed like the natural progression to get there was like, well, I should be a realtor first, because being a realtor is basically just a giant self-development journey that you get paid to do for the most part. So that's kind of how I landed in real estate. I owned a bunch of investment properties before I ever became a realtor and made some money doing that. And I just thought, like, this is what I want to do full time. Like, I enjoy doing this. Why don't I just go do that? You know?
Yeah. So you convinced yourself that realtor would be something that would help you to grow yourself out of that plumbing job into something big one.
100%. And like, being a realtor isn't the ultimate end goal for me, but it's I think it's the right stepping stone to get there.
But I have a quick question with you on that front. Like, while somebody is signing up as a realtor, it's not instant income.
No.
You know that. And how do you survive yourself with starting with zero up to going to a level when about more than 20K people know you now?
Dude, it's tough, man. Like, you are going to have sleepless nights. You're going to be stressed out.
Yeah.
It's going to suck. You're going to have anxiety. Like, it's going to be terrible. I mean, the best way to combat...
Because you got to pay the bills.
You got to pay the bills, man. I mean, the best way to combat that is get into the industry with some money. I mean, I'd say ideally 6 months worth of expenses saved up. Yeah. I didn't have that. I had like 3, but also have a line of credit as backup.
Gotcha.
I don't know many good realtors who haven't, been heavily into their line of credit at some point. So
now it's tough though when you have something in mind, but you have to look after the mortgage, your bills, and pay for the family expenses. I know, so which is great to see. And how do you see yourself growing this as your like last job, or you want to turn around this into something else?
Yeah, I eventually want to be a thought leader. I don't know if I'd call myself like a coach, but being just like a creator, right? Being somebody who showcases their ideas to the world and shares their perspective that helps people along their journey and maybe changes the trajectory of their life. Because that's kind of what I think happened to everybody. Like you've probably watched some creators who said some things that completely changed the direction of your life. And I want to be one of those people that is able to do that for other people. And obviously...
So is that something you're looking to see yourself as an influencer?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you get paid in direct proportion to the amount of value you bring. So if you just keep bringing value, you can eventually offer digital products, and people will, like, now I have companies reaching out to me to just like, hey, market my product and I'll pay you X amount of money. Right. And
Exactly. And this is what is all about, like Instagram now, when you try to sell yourself and somebody else as well at the same time. And especially with this, like I've seen a lot of people doing selling a lot of products on the stories. Like putting one story in India is like costing about 10,000 INR, like making $200-$300 just posting one story.
I'm like, dude, why am I going to go do this when I can make $5,000 doing my skincare routine?
Totally agree. Yeah, and people do that.
Yeah, they do that. And it's no disrespect at all, because at the end of the day, like, they earned that platform of acquiring all those eyeballs for a company to want to get in front of those eyeballs.
Exactly. And when you have somebody who is already following you and they may be influenced by you and they know that you can sell their product, so it'll be much better. Like I think a lot of people that's why coming into Instagram just because of this reason, so they can sell themselves plus their product.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And where do you see the real estate is going? Like we have seen a big hike in 2019 when a lot of people are buying, and then we see the COVID prices skyrocketed, interest dropped down, and now back to like a kind of recession time. How do you see all these things changing? Like there was a time when you get into real estate and you have seen this thing from start.
Yeah. There was a time when you would say prices are going up, and that was like a positive thing.
Yeah.
These days, if you say prices are going up, it's like you're spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yeah. I think the last 2 years have been pretty brutal, pretty rough, especially if you're a realtor or somebody who, could barely afford to pay your mortgage as it was. Now it's gone up 40, 50%. Yeah. However, what I will say is, like, I don't know where the market's going. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I do know is there's over 1 million people moving here every year. Builders, like, new construction's down 40+% for the last 2 years. That's not getting any better. And going into 2025, we're going to have 3 million people living here, 3 million extra people living here than we did in 2021.
Exactly.
We're going to have 40% less homes built than what we normally should have been building, which already was nowhere near enough to begin with. Yeah. And interest rates are likely going to be lower. So, I mean, 2025, if I'm spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it to me looks like very possible we're going to see prices spike upwards.
And do you think that like the government is still working towards having the interest rates down, and plus the basement rents have gone up from $1,000 to $2,000. If we don't even compare to Surrey or Vancouver, like even in Abbotsford, like it's not easy to get a basement. So what do you think about that? Like, is the government going to do anything, or?
I think Bank of Canada is working to get inflation down, and I think the government is doing the exact opposite, in all honesty. They're spending money, they're making it rain every which way they can, which is very inflationary.
They need to spend more in Canada, I think, rather spending on a different country, though.
100%. Well, and then it's like, even like, I'm not political, okay? I'm not well versed in the government, okay? Yeah. But they've also added like a ridiculous amount of government employees as well, right? So where does all that money come from? Yeah. So I don't know. They've done a lot of things. They're basically, kind of counteracting a lot of the things that the Bank of Canada is trying to do, and they're not moving in parallel. They're like moving conversely. I don't know what the word is. They're working against what the Bank of Canada is trying to do, from what I've seen, anyways. So
yeah, interesting. And I think, being an Indian as well, I should be asking you, because you are a realtor, where do you think that immigration is really affecting this kind of industry in real estate? Because you know that how many people are coming, they're desperate to come to Canada and make their life better here. So where do you see this thing? Like, is it going to grow better, or is it going to make the real estate more worse than today?
It'll definitely make real estate worse. I mean, that's just basic supply and demand, where we're not building any homes. And then there's, like, I think we had like 240,000 new housing starts. Mm-hmm. And we had almost 2 million people come here last year. I think it was
over 1 million, definitely.
Over 1 million, definitely. Yeah. But there was a lot of people. It was like, it was almost 2 million, I think. So there was a bunch of students too.
Yeah, could be included from could be apart from India as well. Like I can tell you the Indian numbers though. About 100,000 like temporary residents visited Canada, including students, tourists, and others.
Okay, so you know better than me. Yeah. So let's just say 1 million, right? Yeah. 240,000 housing starts at 2.2 people per home. That means we built enough homes for 480,000 people. Yeah. But there's over 1 million that moved here, right? Yeah. So we're short 500 something thousand homes. So that's definitely going to put pressure on rents and prices. There's no doubt about it, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And like you already helped me out, like buying a house. Like, how do you see a student who's coming to Canada today, working at a factory, working 20 hours a week? How is he going to afford real estate in Canada?
It's going to be really tough, man. Either they're going to have to get a really good deal on rent, or they're likely going to have to split the rent payment with multiple people. Is pretty much the only way that works, I think.
Mm-hmm. But definitely they won't be able to, because they've already spent like thousands of dollars either in their studies, paying off their expenses, getting the work permits. I don't think so they will be left with $1 million of spare money to buy a house.
I doubt it. Yeah. No, buying will definitely be really difficult, especially getting approved for a mortgage as well will be extremely difficult. So, yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily have I think prices and rents will go up. That may be positive or negative depending on your bias. I don't have a necessarily good outlook for Canadian real estate long term, in the sense that I think what will likely happen is the homes will get smaller and the amount of people on average occupying each home will increase to help subsidize those payments.
Yeah. And that is what we are looking at as well right now. Like people are now used to buy like big houses, then townhouses. And now I think the next bull run for real estate would be maybe apartments, I say.
Yeah, well, now they're building apartments, like 2-bed, 1-bath condos are like 580 square feet now. Like that's what you get in these new high rises, right?
And what was the like average price for that?
They're launching one right now. It's like $750K for that, right? In Surrey.
And if you talk about like 5 years back, you would be able to get a house in Surrey for about that much money.
Yeah, you probably
if
could.
Not wrong.
Yeah, you probably could. If it was like a 1950s home on like a 6,000, like you probably could somewhere. Yeah.
But even spending $1 million is more than enough. It used to be like 5-6 years back, but not right now.
No. Yeah, it's tough even at $1 million. You got to be looking at Chilliwack.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's what we think. Like immigration is going to affect, but definitely government need to work on that, obviously, to bring things down. Because the person who is already here, I think the government should be spending more time on him rather than spending more time on somebody bringing in here.
Yeah, I mean, they treat their new friends better than their old ones. Right? That's the saying.
Yeah, totally agree. Interesting. So we have lots to talk about on interest rates and how the market reacts in the coming year as well. I think 2024 is going to be better, as we have already talked about. Like interest rates might go down or not. So what's your thought on that?
They might go down. I mean, fixed rates have already come down quite substantially. Like fixed rates are down like 1.5% since October. Maybe not a full 1.5%, but over 1%.
Do you think they will beat that target of 2%? What they're talking about in 2024?
If I had to coin flip guess, I'm going to say yeah, probably. But doesn't mean they're going to lower rates either, right? Yeah. So it depends, right? I mean, the Bank of Canada says a lot of stuff, but people think what they say is like what they're actually trying to do. Yeah. And it might be, it may not always be the case, but what they say is actually calculated to make you do something, right? So like when they say, oh, we're thinking about cutting rates in the future, right? They're trying to hopefully let the market recover and instill some whatever. When they say we're holding rates, right? They're basically just trying to control market sentiment, or like a lot of the rhetoric that they were saying towards the end of the year last year is like, we're holding rates, but we might still raise them, right? Everybody knew they weren't going to raise them, but they still have to say that because that controls the sentiment. So people don't hop back into the market. And so everything Bank of Canada is saying, sure, fine, right? There's no guarantee they're going to cut rates even if we hit 2% inflation, right? But yeah, I mean, I overall the market, I think we'll probably see prices go up in 2024 just because we have a lot of pent up buyer demand that is starting to capitulate, right? So like, you're a trader, right? You understand like market capitulation. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing on the buyer end. People are just giving up. They're just like, I'm done waiting. The prices aren't coming down. I need to move. Let's just buy something now, right? Yeah.
And how's the inventory looks like? Like if we talk about Abbotsford and Surrey, or maybe just Fraser Valley region, is it like a lot of houses coming out for sell, or because everybody say it's a buyer market right now, but being a higher interest rate side, they're still paying like something extra, not eventually, but somewhere down the line.
Inventory's still low. Most product types are still in seller's market. The only thing that isn't is detached homes. Detached homes are in balanced territory now.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay, I think this is a good conversation for today. We try to understand about from Kelly's perspective that how is he doing, and we understand from the interest point of view as well. But we also will discuss about investment, stock market, crypto as well with Kelly in the coming days. So I would like to thank Kelly for joining us.
Thank
you. And it was really nice talking to you. 100%. Is there anything you would like to add on to our today's conversation or our upcoming conversation in the future?
Nothing, man. I think we'll just see you guys back on the crypto stocks episode. I'll be back here with Mr. Seth.
Yeah.
We'll rock it out.
Yeah. And I would also like to want the audience to listen from your side, something in Punjabi, whatever.
Land thora de population jadea, sare Greater Vancouver, BC de vich, so invest karo. Is that
invest karo?
Invest karo.
Yeah. And before I wind up, like, how do you learn all that? Because a lot of people are watching you like on Instagram and they understand like you from a white background is speaking Punjabi. A lot of Punjabi people are buying houses here. How do you see?
Yeah, like I learned a lot of it. So I grew up playing on a Punjabi soccer team. So it was like me and two other white guys.
Even I never know that.
Yeah, right. And then the coach would always speak Punjabi. So I picked up a lot of it from that. He'd be like, Jakade, kick it lumbi butt, right? So like I learned quite a bit just like being around it. But today it's like now, because I'm putting out these videos, it can't just be the same 8 words in every video. So it's
exactly.
I got to call people and be like, hey, dude, I want to say this. How do I say it?
And I think you say it very well, though. The words are very clear.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Interesting. Okay, so thanks, Kelly, for today. And it is nice talking to you. And if anybody in Abbotsford is looking for a house, I would recommend Kelly, because I myself bought a house from Kelly and really appreciate on that. I'm buying my first house in Abbotsford. So again, thank you one more time. And thanks everybody for joining us with us today. And don't miss the next episode, because that will be all about immigration with one of the great lawyers from Surrey. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Peace.
Bye-bye.